The greatest sadness in Bill Pullman's life was not a single event or a specific loss that he spoke about publicly, but rather the accumulation of silent wounds over time. One of the things that could be considered the deepest sadness was the loss of his mother, Johanna, when he was at the peak of his career in the 1990s. Although there is no exact information about the time of her death, the loss of a mother, who taught him about kindness and patience, certainly left a void in him that could not be filled. He once said in an interview that he often thought about his parents when he played roles about families, and his voice became choked up when he mentioned them. Perhaps that sadness was the regret of not being able to spend more time with his mother during his busiest years. Another part of the greatest sadness in his life may have come from the pressures of his career and personal life. When Independence Day was released in 1996, Bill Pullman became a global star for his role as President Thomas J. Whitmore. But the sudden fame also came with its burdens. He once shared that he felt overwhelmed by the expectations of audiences and critics, and that there were nights when he sat alone in his hotel room, wondering if he had the strength to continue. He was not a showman, and the glamour of Hollywood sometimes made him feel lost, like someone who did not really belong there. That sadness did not explode into loud sobs, but rather tears that fell quietly as he faced himself. In addition, another event that may have contributed to his greatest sadness was the serious car accident that his son, Lewis Pullman, was in when he was young. Although Lewis recovered and became a successful actor, the moment he received the news that his son was injured must have been a great shock to Bill. He once said that he felt helpless when he could not protect his children from the dangers of life, and that it brought him to tears during the hours waiting for news from the hospital. That sadness was not only the pain of a father, but also the realization that, no matter how hard he tried, he could not control everything in the lives of the people he loved. Bill Pullman's career has been a long and arduous journey, where he has experienced both brilliant peaks and memorable failures. He began his artistic path after graduating from the State University of New York at Wanianta with a B.A. in theater direction, and then earned a Master of Fine Arts from the University of Massachusetts Amherst. In his early years, he worked as a stage actor in New York, performing in small plays and teaching acting at Montana State University to make ends meet. In 1986, he made his film debut in Ruthless People, a comedy with Danny DeVito and Bette Midler that marked his transition from stage to screen. Bill Pullman's early years were not particularly glamorous. He was often cast in small supporting roles in films such as Spaceballs, 1987, and The Serpent and the Rainbow, 1988, where he had to compete with a host of other young actors to prove himself. There were days when he drove hours from Montana to auditions in Los Angeles, only to be turned down by directors. He once told of sitting in his car after a failed audition, silently weeping as he thought about the future. "I wasn't crying because I was sad," he said, "but because I was afraid I would never get a chance." But Bill Pullman didn't give up. He kept persevering, believing that one day his talent would be recognized. His turning point came in 1995 with While You Were Sleeping. His role as Jack Callahan, a warm and sincere man alongside Sandra Bullock, brought him worldwide love. To prepare for the role, he spent weeks observing ordinary families in Chicago, where the film was shot, to capture the emotions of a responsible older brother. There were nights when he stayed up all night to review his scenes, just to make sure he hadn't made a mistake. His efforts paid off when the film became one of the most successful romantic films of the 1990s, catapulting him to new heights. His real success came in 1996 with Independence Day. His role as President Thomas J. Whitmore was not only a turning point in his career, but also made him a Hollywood icon. His character's eloquent speech before the battle against aliens has become one of the classic moments of cinema. To get into character, he studied hours of famous speeches by U.S. presidents, from Abraham Lincoln to John F. Kennedy, and practiced relentlessly to make his voice ring out with power. Once, after filming a speech scene, he sat alone in a corner of the set and cried, not because he was sad, but because he felt so fulfilled by being in the character. In the following years, Bill Pullman continued to make his mark with roles in David Lynch's Lost Highway, 1997, where he played a mysterious man drawn into a surreal world, and Lake Placid, 1999, a comedy horror film where he confronted a giant alligator. However, not all of his roles were successful. In the 2000s, he starred in a number of poorly received films such as Scary Movie 4, 2006, and Nobel's Son, 2007, which made him doubt his abilities at times. Once, after Nobel's Son received negative reviews from critics, he sat alone in his room, looked in the mirror, and cried all night. I wondered if I was still strong enough, he recalled. But it was those tears that helped him find the motivation to keep going. His second career high came in 2017 with The Sinner. His role as Detective Harry Ambrose, a haunted middle-aged man, earned him a Critics' Choice Television Award nomination and new recognition from young audiences. To get into the role, he spent months researching criminal psychology, meeting real detectives, and even spending days in solitary confinement to understand the character. There were days when he cried from exhaustion after filming emotionally heavy scenes, but also from the satisfaction of knowing he had done well. His career is a testament to talent and perseverance, from an unknown stage actor to a versatile Hollywood star. Bill Pullman has always set himself big goals, not only to satisfy his passion, but also to prove his worth. From his early days on stage, he dreamed of becoming an actor recognized not only by audiences, but also by professionals. He wanted his name to be engraved in the history of cinema, not for fame, but because he believed that acting was the way he could touch people's hearts and tell meaningful stories. Through more than 40 years of dedication, he has made that dream come true, step by step building an admirable career. One of Bill Pullman's greatest achievements is that he has become an icon of versatility in acting. From President Whitmore in Independence Day to Jack Callahan in While You Were Sleeping, to Detective Ambrose in The Sinner, he has demonstrated his ability to move from action to romance to psychological complexity. To achieve this, he spent hours studying the psychology of his characters, from the way they spoke to the way they faced difficulties. I wanted the audience to see themselves in me, he once said. His authenticity in acting not only brought laughter and suspense, but also deeply emotional moments. Critical recognition is another achievement he always strives for. Although he has not won many major awards, such as Oscars or Emmys, he has received a Critics' Choice Television Award nomination for The Sinner and the respect of his peers. He was honored with an award at the Woodstock Film Festival in 2016 for his contributions to independent cinema. To achieve that glory, he turned down many easy commercial roles, instead choosing projects with depth like The Ballad of Lefty Brown, 2017, where he transformed into an old cowboy with a lot of heart. Once, while filming The Sinner, he was exhausted due to the tight schedule, but he still persevered to complete the role, bringing a memorable performance. Bill Pullman also aspires to leave a legacy for the next generation. He wants young actors to look to him as an example of perseverance and passion. In The Equalizer, 2014, he played Brian Plummer, a minor character, but left a strong impression alongside Denzel Washington. To prepare, he studied how to show dignity in a small role, and the result was a performance that caught the attention of young audiences. He also inspired his son, Lewis Pullman, who pursued acting and found success with roles in Top Gun, Maverick, 2022. That success was not only a source of personal pride, but also a way for him to inspire a new generation. Public recognition is the ultimate achievement that he always cherishes. Although there is no exact information about specific medals, with a career spanning more than 4 decades and more than 70 screen roles, he certainly received respect from the industry and audiences. When he stood on stage to accept the award at Woodstock, he cried, not because of pride, but because he remembered the difficult days he had overcome. "I am grateful to be alive and to work hard," he said, and that motivated him to continue to contribute, even at the age of 70. Bill Pullman's love and marriage were an important part of his life, but also brought with them quiet sadness. He met Tamara Hurwitz, a dancer and choreographer, in the early 1980s when they were both working on a stage project. They married in 1987 when he was making his name in Hollywood. Tamara, with her charm and talent, became a solid support for him during those busy years. Their marriage lasted more than 37 years, a rarity in the entertainment industry, and was considered stable and lasting. However, behind that peaceful appearance, perhaps there were challenges that only the two of them knew. When they married, Bill Pullman was in the early stages of his career, with a busy schedule and great pressure from work. There were periods when he had to be away from home for months on end to film, such as in DP.